What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Eurythmics. And as I often do, I'd like to once again give a massive shout out to hero of the channel, Philip. Knowledgeable, insightful, modest, unassuming, just like a really fantastic person, so big shout out to you. And the next tune in the larger folder that he's made available, which incidentally I keep mentioning, it has Annie Lennox solo material in there, as well as The Tourist, which I did go through some of that. Nevertheless, the next album, 1989, We Two Are One, and the two there is the double O, meaning in addition to, in this case, some unreferenced other entity. But the song, which starts the album, is two as in the number, TWO. So obviously there's a play on words already, and perhaps, the way the first song is worded, then the album becomes the other entity that are one. So again, it feels very playful right at the start, just based on the titles of the record and the opening tune. So I guess it's not technically a title track, but it is essentially the title track. But yeah, the idea of being so part of the same activity, process, or being that two separate entities are in effect one, de facto. So yeah, I wonder, obviously this is a duo, and so one is immediately inclined to think about Annie and Dave, but of course it could go, deeper than that, or it could be, not just in a musical sense, obviously, or not obviously, but I do remember people saying that, I don't know if it was during the Tourist period or during the very early Eurythmics period, but at some point I do believe they actually dated, and then I think people were telling me that in the context of the writing, I think, of Here Comes the Rain Again, because they had already dated at that point, and so they were I think in a hotel, and they were kind of workshopping lines. But yeah, again, it feels like it could be autobiographical in that sense, but it could be something that could be generalized, or perhaps is already on multiple levels in the tune. Let's hear it. This is We Two Are One from the album We Two Are One, which is 1989, though this is the remastered and expanded version. And I should point out there are 15 tracks in here, and it looks like there's, is it 5? Yeah, it looks like 5 bonus tracks, so very much looking forward to this. Let's go with the first one. This is We Two Are One on the album of the semi-same name, 1989, by the Eurythmics. Oh, bluesy guitar coming in. Sounds like someone doing a harmonica line with their mouth, vocally.
Don't you wanna give your lonely baby? I'm at your door. Put your trouble down upon me, baby. That's what I'm for. People like us are too messed up to live in solitude, yeah. I'm gonna cure that problem.
second part of that line. People like us are too messed up for what? Dave's in there too, huh? I've heard them do, nearly a full album of sort of soul funk, and so, some sort of classic genre vibes. But that may be the bluesiest tune I can remember by them. That was just the guitar, the singing, the attitude of the track. And although there were, some other flavors along the way, including just that synth rock sort of vibe. Again, by far the bluesiest tune I've heard from them. But it's funny though, because lyrically it didn't feel like typical blues, in that it seems genuinely enthusiastic. I was going to say genuinely genuine, which is not the most elegant of speaking, but sincere, authentic. It feels like they're, it's us. And it does sound like there's a bit of the we're kind of messed up, we're different from everybody else, but as long as you're into it and I'm into it, I love you, you love me, and we two are one, whether it's against the world or otherwise. So it felt more sincere. And again, they're both singing on the track, so it's I still go back to on some level, is this about Annie and Dave? It feels like that's the most obvious conclusion, but ultimately, that could be professionally, musically, that, through thick and thin, at least up to this point, they were, still making music no matter what had happened personally. I feel like there could be some different takes, even if it is very specifically autobiographical. And, as I've said since the very beginning of doing reactions to tunes with lyrics, which is more to say, the very beginning I was doing reactions to techno and trance. But lyrics, they're dialogue, and even if there's a very specific story or meaning behind the lyrics, inevitably they're filtered through the experiences and understandings and emotions of the person listening. So the idea that they might connect it to something in their life isn't inappropriate or not what the song's about. It's just that's what the song can mean to them specifically, even if again they're aware that there's original meaning, that from the person who composed the words. So, either way, it feels specific to them, even if there are themes there that couples or just other people who, are in it for the long haul and, will remain supportive of each other. It feels like it might resonate. Nevertheless, a really cool sonic opener, the soulful sonics of Annie, and her incredible voice. Dave, again, it's a really well-produced tune, and again, it's they're famous for making very electronic-sounding synth pop in that sort of early to mid-'80s style, and then it's again, I never heard this album, or certainly never heard this tune, when I was younger, and, again, at the time, late 80s, I was still very into synth pop and listened to some other things. So maybe if I heard this, I would have very much been into it. But I would have been surprised. I've been man, this doesn't sound like Sweet Dreams or Here Comes the Rain Again. Now, again, there are other albums they did in the 80s that I didn't hear, and having heard them now, this doesn't come out of the blue. This doesn't seem, surprising, but it's still damn, that was a real bluesy attitude, saturated track. So bottom line, really cool opener, again, semi-title track. Looking forward to hearing if there's a persistent theme of, two people or two entities, combining or persisting. Feels like it might be something to that effect. Either way, looking forward to it. Once again, shout out to Philip and all the people following the Eurythmics reaction, and I will see you next time. Peace. You still here?